Well, he's got a weird relationship with money. I mean, someone asked him, what does it mean to spend money? Now, I met you 4 years ago at the King of Prussia Mall in Pennsylvania.
At the Hot Topic.
Before Edward was you. And
don't confuse them. Don't confuse them.
Just say.
Not the
So at that time, you were, you know, an unknown British actor who played a little music, and all these people were assigning, you know, great hopes to you that came true, I would say.
I don't know if people were even assigning great hopes to me. I think I was literally just trying to sell T-shirts in the Hot Topic. That was
okay.
Trying to make a buck any way I could.
Yeah.
Okay, but I want to get to this issue of money. At the time, you probably didn't have much, and you probably have now made a couple of bucks here and there, right? Do you, other than buying, I bet you, a couple of guitars, is your relationship? Have you learned anything about money? Did you bring any of that to the role? Because I mean, you didn't grow up poor, but being an actor, if you do it right, has significant compensations. Did anything you learned about money come into play on this film?
I don't know. I mean, because I really don't want to say it, but I think it's probably the case. I probably have a very similar relationship with money. I mean, like, however small or large the amount, it still seems relatively fictional. I mean, I have the same relationship with money, I guess, as I do with like success or failure. Like, it's just imposter. I mean, it's just kind of, it is a fiction. I mean,
well, in a way, you're like your character. You don't really see it. Someone tells you probably have some money.
Yeah, I'd say you're broke now. I'm like,
yes.
He spends all his money on clothes, as you can.
If one of your advisors tell you they're investing aggressively in currency, I'd kind of back away.
Especially the yuan.
Yes, the yuan. Do you, David, do you think that there is an explicit or implicit critique of sort of a business? One of the characters says it very plainly, that the natural extension of business is murder.
Yeah.
And so there you are, ringing the bell on Wall Street.
Yeah.
You guys are great.
By ringing that bell, we have murdered about 8,000 people.
Also,
fantastic.
The Jersey Shore cast had done it the week before us as well. So like, we can't.
What an honor!
We really can't be held accountable too much.
Did you just hold it in your hand and say, "Snooky, touch this"?
I actually used some disinfectant gel. Yeah, the button.
That's kind of mean.
Actually, I don't even know who she is. I know, I was about to say, you don't know who she is. I have no.
But listen,
Snooki is a round little ball of love.
You got to watch out for those. That I do know. So you were asking me about...
I was asking you about... No, I was asking you...
About
I
murder.
Just got Snooki just like lasered in my brain right now.
Murder and capitalism.
Murder and capitalism, it would seem to be a very overt, explicit critique of business and how it's done.
Well, there's a lot of discussion about it. That doesn't mean that this character embodies all of that stuff, though. I mean, yeah, capitalism is very ruthless, ultimately. It's like you want to crush everybody else, and you want to be the king, and you would rather have a monopoly, and if you make shoes, you want to be the only one who makes shoes, and you want to, destroy all your competitors. I mean, that is capitalism in its most basic form. And it's always underneath there. It's always underneath there. So in that sense, that line is very accurate. Of course, it's not the way the world really works, and it's not the way people work, because everything's much more complex and confused and so on. But so all of those little aphorisms in the movie are really, they're accurate as far as they go, and they're interesting and they're provocative. But this character is sort of beyond capitalism at this point. I mean, for him, it's all become so abstract and disconnected. You know, when he goes out for dinner with his wife, he said, "This is how people talk, right?" And she says, "How would I know?" Because she's just like him. She is also an arch capitalist. You see, she's also a woman who comes.
They're weird kind of doppelgangers of each other.
That's right.
When they get together. I'm only guessing here, but I think we have a scene of them both.
Is this a funny scene or a dark scene?
I'm not characterizing, not guessing. I'm just saying the husband and wife will be in this clip.
Okay.
Recite to me.
Where's your necktie?
Had my checkup. Saw my heart on the screen.
I don't like saying this.
But
You smell of sex.
that's my doctor's appointment you smell.
I smell sex all over you.
It's what? It's hunger you smell. I want to eat lunch. You want to eat lunch. We're people in the world. We need to eat and talk.
So there you see a guy who is observing himself and trying to imagine himself as a human being.
Right.
In society, interacting with people, even though he really can't do it, you know?
Yeah, people eat lunch.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, let's give that a whirl.
Exactly right, exactly right. Well, and that's what's wonderful about the dialogue, and I must say the performances, because it makes it very clear ultimately that he is, by the end of this day, this trip across Manhattan, he is dismantling himself so that he can reassemble himself as a real human being. And part of how he tries to do that, first of all, is to go to this barber and connect with his past, because this barber used to cut his father's hair, cut his hair. He's an old guy, not a very good barber. And we did let him really cut Rob's hair, and that was a lot of fun. The scars are still here, but and that doesn't work, and so he has to do something even more extreme, you know, to, as you say, to make himself feel, to reassemble himself. And we don't want to give away all of that, but I think really
it's a really complicated movie. There's no way that we're going to screw up every plot.
Besides, you will forget all this 10 minutes.
We've got this little sort of universal Men in Black thing on the way out of here where it just scans you. All you remember is that David and Rob were really nice. Nothing inside. One of the things I'm charmed by is that he's like this uber genius capitalist guy, really bad liar.
Yeah. And it's interesting.
Is he trying, or is he?
What's he a bad liar about?
Sex.
About sex. It's my doctor's appointment. It's like,
there's another because his wife is always saying this to him. She's saying, somehow you smell of sex. I sense sex on you. And of course she's right, because he's been messing around. And he says, it's not the sex that I've had that you smell. It's the sex I want.
It's just.
But that's when he's actually thinking about something to say. Thinking actually a theory about it. It gets to the point where when she finally says, when he thinks she's going to say, "You smell of sex" again, he just gets to the point where he's like, "It's my peanuts." And that's literally like, he doesn't even bother thinking about it after a while.
And he has been eating peanuts. You know, it makes a little sense. But that's a great line, which I think a lot of men will want to use. You know, it's not. Just remember, it's not the sex I've had, it's the sex I want.
It's not going to fly.
You better off going with the peanuts.
I tried it on my wife, and it didn't work.
I understand they're these two like meta beings and they've got all this. Why aren't they doing it?
Well,
I'm sorry. I shouldn't ask you to explain it. I found it was interesting that they were not doing it.
she said she's a poet. She explains it.
Right.
She's a poet, and when she's a poet, she's got to isolate herself, and she's got to work, and she's got to not be distracted. And that's her rationale.
They're newlyweds. They should be doing it like bunnies.
The movie is set over the course of one day as well.
That's right. So maybe,
And he does have sex with 2 other women. It's kind of...
Yeah, it's hard to feel bad for your character. In the part of what goes on in the film is it seems as if the broader culture. Rob, I think your character says people don't hate the rich. Everyone expects to be rich
in the next 5 minutes.
In the next 5 minutes. Do you guys? Do you think that's true? Do you think that's true of America? You're not from here, so.
Yeah.
No.
But you know, I'm not from here either. I'm Canadian. But I'm just across the border, if you want to visit. So yeah, I think there's some truth in that. You know, one of the things about England and Britain is the class structure. If you're not born to be upper class, there's no way you can get there. You cannot become somehow upper class. You're always a parvenu. Even if you try to change your accent so that it's very posh and you sound like the royal family, they'll see right through you immediately. Whereas, of course, in America, I saw through him. Actually, it's funny because Paul Giamatti didn't know that he was British, and he said to me, "Why is this guy putting on this fake British accent? It's kind of freaking me out."
All experienced young actor who's gotten a little bit of success and suddenly
they talk like a Brit.
There's something mid-Atlantic about how they talk, and it's like, dude, you're from Wichita. What are you doing?
Yeah. So mid-Atlantic, Midwest, you know.
But in the...
So to answer your question finally, yeah, I think it's true that everybody in America thinks that if things just went right, they could become rich. And therefore it's difficult to hate the rich because what if you become that, you know? Are you going to hate yourself? Whereas, as I say, if it's upper class and you're not upper class in England, you can just absolutely hate them because you know you're never going to be one of them.